Hi everybody, welcome to the cabin and the Frog Hollow. Today's episode we're going to discover and tie the Houghton Lake Special. Houghton Lake, as most of you know, is right in the middle of the state, almost directly east of us here. Oh, I would say, lack of a better term, 75 or 80 miles. This fly was meant to fish either wet or dry. As you can see by the hackles on the front, they're fairly heavily hackled. But it also has a streamer wing, a very unique fly by anybody's standard. So let's tie the Houghton Lake Special. Standard streamer hook, typically 2x long or 2x strong, 4x long, and black thread. And we're going to stay away from the hackling area and the wing area with our thread. So we're going to start about a quarter of the way back, dressing the hook, and we're going to dress that all the way to the bend opposite the point or the barb, if you will, of the hook, and snip out the excess. Houghton Lake Special has a red yarn tail, so that's what's going to happen next, and it's just a little snub of red yarn, so about like so. We're going to trim it off square once we get the yarn in there, so let's tie that in. This is a little Antron yarn with a little additional sparkle. Probably that wasn't part of the program back then. But keeping with tradition here of taking material all the way up the shank of the hook to avoid any startup bumps of material, we'll snip it out there, discard that, and we're going to return to the tie-in point, flattening everything out, and now we're going to do that snip, maybe just a touch shorter, about like so. Perfect. Now we're going to tie in the rib. This is a silver rib, so we have again the mylar tinsel. We're going to tie it in. This is gold on one side, silver on the other. So we're going to tie it in with the gold facing us so that when we start our wrap, that the gold shows. So we're going to wrap up the shank with that material as well. Stop, snip that out. And now we're going to come back and tie in some medium black chenille. Now chenille, I'm going to pull some of the fibers off the chenille, just leaving the threads, because I'm not going to leave that chenille body go all the way up the hook. I'm just going to wrap the threads in, so I'm not going to get a startup bump, because I've just wrapped the threads. So I'm tying that down pretty hard. And now I'm going to go up to where the body ends. So I'm going to wrap the chenille. Here we go. And we're going to stop right there. Snip the chenille out. We'll pick up our rib, which is the mylar, and we're going to rib this fly. Try and make these pretty concentric, meaning same amount of chenille showing from one wrap to the other. That's a sign of, you know, somebody really cared about how they tied the fly. If these are off, oops, like that, see how that jumped up? There we go. If these aren't wrapped concentric, yeah, probably the tire didn't care much. How did we do? That last one doesn't look too good, does it? You know, for some reason. There we go. All right, we've got it. Snip the tinsel out. I'm going to add a little pad right there for the next part of the fly. That looks pretty good. I'll go with that. So the wing on this fly is made of bucktail. And so we're going to use both the brown of the bucktail and the white of the bucktail. The white of the bucktail goes in first. And again, you don't want to use too much because we're tying 2 clumps in, and don't make it too heavy. And that looks pretty good. I'm not stacking these. Typically don't stack a streamer wing, so we're not going to stack this, but go around, tie that in. Bucktail can be a little slippery, so make sure that that all comes together nice. It did. Cut on a taper, discard. Now we're going to come in with our brown bucktail. Again, not too much. Get any down out of there that happens to be hanging around. Same length. A couple times around. Let's take a look, make sure that everything looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Now this, since I've already got a clump in, I'm going to wrap down. See how that tapers down? If we'd have cut that off, we'd have had an issue putting on the hackle. So we're wrapping down on the shank of the hook to give us that taper. Now we're going to cut again. We're going to cut on an angle. And I'm going to go right down on the shank. This is our hackling point now. Guess what? Clear, flexible head cement. Do 2 things. Lock that wing in, and when our hackle starts climbing down the hill, which it doesn't like to do, hackle will climb up a hill, but it doesn't like to climb down. That little resistance, or the rubberized resistance of that head cement on there, is going to help us a great deal. So we're going to use a Coachman brown hackle. If you want to heavily hackle it as a dry fly, you might want to put 2 in. I'm going to put 1 in. We're going to tie that in again. Here's the curve of the hook. See how that, they're kind of standing straight up or even a little bit forward. We're going to tie it in as a dry fly hackle, so the dull side facing us. Grab your hackle pliers. In this case, you really wouldn't need pliers. I'm going to do it without the pliers just to show you, because it's a nice long big hackle. I mean, this is a size 6 hook, right? So here we go. Covered our tracks pretty good right there. Again, we're winding downhill, so this is where that head cement pays off. It adds a little bit of rubberized base so the hackle doesn't slip down the hill as we're winding it around. We're going to wrap right up to the eye here. Right, one more wrap. Boy, with today's hackles, it makes it so easy. Twice around, we're going to go in and snip. And now we're going to use our thumb and our forefinger to push everything back away from that eye. We don't want to have glue or, God forbid, a hackle stem in the eye of the fly. That would really, I would be thrown under the bus for sure. Build a little head right there. Again, not too big. Just like to have it look just right. Whip finish. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to talk more about this fly in our history segment on the Houghton Leg Special. But that, folks, is the quintessential Houghton Lake Special.